It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Boy, what a shitty episode of SmackDown. That ending. Yeah. CM Punk started a big chain of events, didn't he? Yeah. What's up, everybody? It is Friday night. Wow, we have not done a Friday night show in some time. The Sit Down is live and in effect. Now, yes, this is not a SmackDown recap show. There's 95,000 of them going on right now. The Sit Down is a little bit different. I show up with nothing. You tell me what you want to talk about tonight. All you have to do, if you want to be part of the conversation, you want to choose the topics, just be live, be in the chat room. It is free. You don't have to wait an hour, a week, a month, a year to be part of the conversation. If you sign up, you can join right now. Super chats never required, but if they do come in, they do get VIP treatment because they do help pay the bills, and they help me buy this continuous glucose monitor. No, I'm not diabetic. I'm taking my keto diet to another level. We'll talk about that another day. I'm sure that's not what you want to talk about right now. Listen, before I go any further, I expect the turnout for tonight's sit down to be light because we've been doing it on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock forever. But since the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show is back as of this past week on a full-time basis, we had to shift the shows around a little bit. So we'll see. You voted that you wanted this on a Friday night, even though there's so many SmackDown recap shows out there. Maybe, with all due respect, you saw SmackDown. You know what happened. Do I need to repeat it to you? Really? We could comment about The Rock. We could comment about Cody. We could comment about, anything that you wanted to see tonight. Tiffany Stratton, Braun Breaker. Of course, if that's what you want to talk about, that's what I am here for. So let's get into it. By the way, I definitely need feedback from my channel members of the first YouTube edition of the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show with all of those thumbnails. We spliced in about 45 thumbnails. As we were talking about conversations, we were putting thumbnails as the chapters. So if you saw that thumbnail on the screen, you knew what we were talking about. I need to know, did you like it? Do you want me to add a little video to it? Not of us. We're not eye candy. We're not doing video of us, but other things. Let me know. Definitely want your feedback. So I hope you all enjoyed it. And let's get right into it, shall we? Now, I saw a couple of super chats come in before we started live tonight. But I personally think, with all due respect, the way SmackDown went off the air, it's not even 10 minutes ago. We obviously need to get into that first. It would be disrespectful as a wrestling fan if we didn't talk about it first. And I'm going to segue with first name John. What's up? Is your first name John? John! What's up, brother? DT? I could see Roman holding that title for another year or more. And only come around for big shows, surpassing Bruno. Cody could elevate that World Heavyweight Championship to main event status. Listen, I get the idea of passing Hogan. That is more in the scope of diehard Roman Reigns fans and anti-Hulk Hogan fans. I've been a wrestling fan since 79. I was a Hulkamaniac growing up. My grandmother's favorite wrestler is Hulk Hogan. She got me into wrestling. Even though I don't like Hulk Hogan, I do have pity for him now, but all of that stuff from Hogan Knows Best to Graziano and the N-word and everything else, I've learned to dislike the man. But I don't give a flying fuck whether Roman is 5th, 4th, 3rd, 7th, 9th. It's the quality of the championship run, not the longevity. You know, didn't we have Carmella, the longest reigning briefcase holder of all time, and that's because she refused to cash it in? You know, forget about the longevity stuff. It's quality. You know, I saw listen, I praise AEW where needed, where deserving, and I criticize AEW where needed and deserving. And maybe because the DTKC show has come back a little bit, maybe I grew a little bit more hairy balls to say things that I think a lot of people are afraid to say. But, you know, I will use AEW in a little bit of a comparison right now. You know, AEW, they have events where they can't even sell 1,000 tickets. We brought it to your attention. Do you see what all the fan sites do now? And even some of the elite media, you no longer see ticket sales. This goes back to TNA wrestling. And I'm not saying that TNA wrestling was the catalyst to change the way we looked at ratings forever, no matter what product you saw. But back in the day, when TNA was starting to stink and stink bad, their ratings went from 1.5 to 1.1 to 1.0. And then the aces and eights came around, and I made famous the aces and 0.8s because all they were drawing was 0.8s in the ratings. And then Bully Ray got on my ass, and then the ratings went down to 0.7 and 0.6 and 0.5. And then suddenly, these certain media that really favored TNA, they stopped. They stopped with the 0.5. Instead, it was 490,000 viewers, 530,000 viewers, 377,000 viewers. Instead of saying 0.3, 0.1, they do that still with the demo. Do you notice how everybody does, ooh, WWE did 0.6 in the demo? Why don't they just say they did 800,000 viewers in the demo? Why do they do points? Because points still seem a lot higher than what they really are. They did a 0.19. Ah! So now AEW, it's now tickets distributed. Not tickets sold, tickets distributed. That's because we got a billionaire out there that has so much money. If he loses $100 million a year for 10 years, it doesn't even damage his wallet by 10%. What he's got to worry about is a network canceling him. So what happens now? It's tickets distributed. You don't know how many tickets are actually sold. So when you hear 1,900 tickets distributed, you don't even know how many of those 1,900 were bought. What does this have to do with Roman Reigns, you may ask? Well, one of the biggest problems with AEW right now is that when people were hot, they did not strike the iron. The Acclaimed at one point were, you know, almost Teflon, and people saw right through it. You saw Private Party at one point were near the top, and yes, maybe they weren't ready for tag titles, but there's been so many people, you just felt it. Last year, Swerve and this and that, and this person. You strike while the iron is hot, and instead you get these, you know, storylines that are just half-assed, or it'll take 9 months and somebody will say, ooh, that is long-term booking. No, it's not. It's fucking lazy stuff. You see on a week-to-week basis, what happened to Keith Lee? What happened to this person? What happened to this person? What you see on TV is what Tony Khan likes, is what the people in the back like, is their friends that are on TV. With all due respect, I don't give two rats' ass that the Dark Order are main eventing Battle of the Belts, main eventing Rampage, main eventing Collision, main eventing Dynamite. You know, when do you start and you say, wow, you know, they had 100,000 viewership drop over and over and over again? AEW's biggest problem is they don't strike while the iron is hot. It's when Tony Khan gets that warm, special feeling inside, that's when things start to move. You look at the House of Black, look at FTR. I fucking love FTR. You know, #1 tag team in the world 2 years ago. They're some of the lowest ratings on Collision. Why? Was everybody out walking their dogs, going for ice cream? Everybody's going to the mall suddenly, going to the movies. Yet WWE is selling 10, 15,000 seats every single time. AEW puts on TV what they want to have. You look at right now, this is Rampage for tonight. Private Party versus Top Flight. Maybe 2 years ago I would have gave a shit about it, but their high-flying luchas are the lowest ratings consistently on the shows. Dark Order, once again, what is this, a tag title shot? You know they're not going to win the match because Sting and Darby Allin are getting a title shot next week, and Sting is undefeated in AEW. Gee, I wonder where that's going to go. Willow Nightingale against Queen Aminata. That's not bad, but nobody gives a shit about Queen Aminata as of yet. You got CMLL. I don't give a fuckos. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, and the best friends are going to talk for the 177th time. You don't strike while the iron is hot. You put your friends on TV. You put what you like on TV. Edge versus Minoru Suzuki. Do I give a shit? Minoru Suzuki's lost almost every match in AEW. Why? Because I'm going to see this and this and this. I see it for fucking 30 years. So you're going to tell me with all of the frustration with Roman Reigns for the last year that he's not defending it, he's not winning, you're having many matches, his matches are predictable, Solo Sikoa keeps getting involved, and Jimmy Uso, you want that for another year? You want that until the summer? Are you kidding me? I don't want that. You passed Hogan, Bruno. I don't care about those numbers. I want to enjoy it. I don't want to go through another 9 months of this shit. The Bloodline storyline has become stagnant. It is repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. The Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble, I didn't give two rats ass about. And even when we did the recap, Kevin and I, briefly, not one person said, wow, you guys really didn't spend any time on the 4-Way. Because it's too fucking predictable. It's too predictable. So if they're going to go Roman Reigns versus Rock this year, and Roman wins, we have to get a dusty finish or something. Does Cody win Money in the Bank? Do I want that? Cody Rhodes winning Seth Rollins' title instead? Cody versus Seth? Why wasn't Seth there today? Cody is supposed to confront. Why wasn't Seth there? In storyline, Rhea was going to be there if Bayley chose her. I just personally think if they're doing this because they want to just strike now, The Rock and Roman Reigns now, there's got to be something that they're scheming where Cody is still getting that championship. There ain't no way I am going to buy that Cody Rhodes is going to wait until WrestleMania 41 to beat Roman. Are you kidding me? I don't fucking want this Roman Reigns run to go another year and 2 months. Who really wants that? Well, because he passes Hogan? I don't care about Hogan. I want to see a title being defended. If Cody steps aside for The Rock because The Rock, TKO, board of directors, The Rock promises Cody a shot, afterwards, okay. If Cody wins at SummerSlam, okay. But please do not say WrestleMania 41. And I truthfully believe that this chain of events has happened because of CM Punk's injury. Yeah, I know a lot of people out there are fucking fantasizing Okada versus Seth Rollins. But honestly, do you know the people who are really fantasizing Seth Rollins versus Okada? The people that represent 350,000 viewers on AEW Collision. That's what it represents. That is the big difference here. WWE knows their audience. They feel the audience. They pay attention to trends. They pay attention to ratings. They pay attention to merchandise sales. They pay attention to social media reaction. They pay attention to what people want to see, what they don't want to see. They test the waters. They do all this stuff. They don't just, Bruce likes it and Triple H likes it. If that was the case, Cameron Grimes would be on every single week. LA Knight would have had a title already. Gargano and Ciampa, let's see a month from now and see where they're at. Nobody wants Roman Reigns versus Cody WrestleMania 41. I certainly don't. Listen, Kevin and I got to have a discussion, obviously, Monday on this, but I'll say this in closing because we obviously have a lot of topics to talk about. And thank you, John, again for that. If this is a chain of events that have happened because of CM Punk's injury and they want Cody Rhodes to take on Seth Rollins, Seth made a great case on Monday. I mean, but you can't take a year and a half of story. You can't take a year and a half of story and just flush it down the toilet. If CM Punk's injury, I have a problem with it too. I'm going to say something right now. I bet you not one person has thought about tonight. CM Punk wasn't in the company a few months ago. What was the plan for Seth Rollins before that? Right? What was the plan for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania before CM Punk came in? Why couldn't he just go back to that? If anything, Drew McIntyre has earned that shot. You know what my gut feeling is, my friends? You know what my gut feeling is? My gut feeling is that Roman Reigns is going to face The Rock at WrestleMania because of CM Punk's injury. And what I also think may happen is Cody Rhodes will enter the Elimination Chamber. And if Cody Rhodes wins the Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes gets to choose, his opponent. He gets another chance at choosing an opponent. And then he may choose Roman Reigns once again, and it ends up the three-way that we talked about a while ago. And then maybe the three-way then segues to The Rock versus Roman Reigns one-on-one WrestleMania 41. Because honestly, too, The Rock is not out of shape. It's obvious he's not out of shape. I'm out of shape. The Rock's not out of shape. But The Rock blows up very, very quickly. If you paid close attention to those segments that he did with Austin Theory, what he did with Jinder Mahal, all right, he blows up. You want him to go 30 minutes with Roman Reigns in 2 months? So if you have Cody Rhodes in the match as well, it takes a lot of stress off of The Rock. So I have a feeling Cody will enter the Elimination Chamber, and if Cody wins the chamber, then it could become a three-way at WrestleMania. And guess what? If anybody that's a fan of the sit-down, go look 2-3 weeks ago. What did we say? Didn't we compare it to Daniel Bryan 10 years ago when he won his championship? Remember Batista showed up and fucked things up, and we said, you know what? The Rock might be this decade's Batista. Remember that? So we could very well end up with that scenario. So you're very welcome, Psycho. You're very welcome. So that's why I love doing these. That's why I love doing the shows again with Kev, because we spit out a lot of, ideas. We're not, Nostradamus, and we don't have 1,001 sources out there. We get some at times, but we look at things on a broader scale, not just because it gives me an erection, a mindgasm. That's what some people, Okada, Seth Rollins, that could end up happening. Absolutely. But you see, when you see AEW Dynamite, something that no one ever brings up, how many of you that watch WWE also watch AEW Dynamite? We did a poll about 2 months ago. How many of you that watch WWE also watch Dynamite? 44% of you said you watch Dynamite also. Now, that doesn't represent the entire wrestling world out there, but even if you went 35%, that's 1/3 to almost 40% of AEW's viewership. So what do? You better not piss off those WWE viewers. You better listen. WWE's putting out so much solid programming that we could tolerate, a little bit of crap here and there. But WWE's banging out so much top quality programming. If you're a WWE fan, why would you tune into AEW? To see who? Claudio and the not-so-great Utah and Bryan Danielson for the 988th time because they're fighting Mexicans next week instead of Puerto Ricans or people that are heavy metal guys. I'm tired. Just because I like the guy, I don't want to see him every week. It's not like a sitcom where every week, to be continued. I'm bored. I'm bored of a lot of their stuff. And guess what? Unfortunately, at Rio del Viqueño, could only fucking bash his neck into a brick or a side building or a wall or a desk or something only so many times. There's only so many times that Dante Martin could break his leg and make Psycho Sid look like a lightweight. You know, people are sick and tired of the same old shit. And I don't need somebody drinking somebody's blood. Oh, that is epic, amazing. No, it's fucking disgusting. It's not. I won't even. No, we're not going to go there. Time in a month. No, we're not going to go there. All right. We spent a lot of time on that, but obviously The Rock and Roman Reigns. Did you see the little teaser at the bottom? WrestleMania press conference Thursday. So looks like we could get Rock and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania 40 after all. Still do not fully expect Cody, to choose Seth Rollins. If that does not happen this Monday on Raw, then I think something, they have something up their sleeve. Pay very close attention to Raw this Monday. Let's see if Cody challenges Seth. If he doesn't, something is going on. And yes, I am very happy that Bayley chose Io Sky. I liked what they did. Bayley understands Japanese. Really, all she would have to do is just watch the repeat of SmackDown and just put it through a program and say, what did Io say? What about that bitch? She knows. The only thing that I didn't like about it, and I know I'm kind of nitpicking, but Io Sky has talked nothing but Japanese for her entire decades on this earth. And I'm exaggerating, but her character, she only speaks Japanese. So tonight, for the first time fucking in ages, Bayley, she done tonight. You're talking to you're talking to Asuka, you're talking to Kairi Sane, two women that don't speak English for the most part. If I go up to my uncle and my grandfather, who are both deceased, and they only speak Italian, and every time I see him, Grandpa, Gifa, oh, Albito, Gilberto de Mascara, and they only speak Italian. And then just one day, I'm like, Grandpa, how's about you go kiss my ass? Like, why would I talk English to somebody that I only talk a different language to? That was the only thing. Obviously, Dakota Kai, is going to be caught in the middle. Dakota Kai is going to have to choose. And the big question is, who does she choose? She's going to have to choose Asuka, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, because none of them speak really, really fluent English. And even if they did, that's not their character. So Dakota Kai is going to have to be the mouthpiece for those women. I mean, sure, I know a lot of you are going to say, Asuka didn't need a mouthpiece for years. I agree. But Dakota Kai on her own, teaming up with Bayley, it's not bad, but I think people want to see Bayley go out on her own, become a babyface, become a singles women's champion again. And then down the line, if Sasha Banks returns a year, 2 years from now, whatever it is, then you could go that route with the tag team division. Thank you, Austin, for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words. All right. I'm sure we'll get back to those topics. Guardian of Chaos. He is very busy tonight. He is moderating Heel Jesse. He is moderating JD from New York. Friends of the family, by the way. As we said on Monday, guys, you now know who the targets are in the world of podcasting. It's not the solo monsters. It's not the Cronins, the JDs, the Jessies, the Bialas, and all this other stuff. It's the Bischoffs, the Conrads, the Dutch Mantels, the Vince Russos, who have to put 988 posts about Vince McMahon online, they're squeezing all the and listen, it's just business. It's nothing personal. But when you saw those top countdown lists and 15 of the 16 on there are all wrestlers, promoters, Hall of Famers, there's room for us nobodies to start whipping their ass. And we've already started. So Chaos, he's representing good people as well. Hopefully I explained a little bit of my thoughts on Cody giving up his spot. I don't think he's giving up his spot. I am very curious. Could you imagine if they did Rock and Roman Reigns night one at WrestleMania? I mean, that would be pretty fucking wild. I think that only happens if Seth Rollins cannot go. And remember, this is now going on 3 weeks, Seth Rollins' injury. 3 weeks. He's halfway home from that injury. If he's experiencing complications or setbacks, and there's a possibility, personally, I don't think there's any setbacks. The way Roman Reigns dissed Seth Rollins tonight, you feel like there's a receipt coming to Roman Reigns soon from Seth Rollins. You're not going to just let that sit and have no reply to it. You have to start throwing jabs at each other. So I think Seth Rollins is still good to go. I am going to bring up Apollo, Psycho. I have him queued up. Thank you, Chaos, for many things. Thank you. Mikey Ravello, why is AEW ticket sales and viewers down so much? I kind of explained it. Your super shout out inspired me to get into that rant. They don't have a pulse on what the everyday wrestling fan wants to see. They have a very core audience that likes what they put out. But remember, there is a large portion of them that are WWE fans as well. And what the fuck do I need their stuff for when I'm getting my fix on Monday nights? I'm getting my fix on Friday nights. NXT is amped it up a notch. Like, am I really missing out? I mean, plus, here's a little fact that a lot of you don't know. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I know I'm within 2 or 3 people right. Not counting NXT, obviously. You know how many people WWE has on their roster? Raw and SmackDown, not counting NXT. They have about 100. Go check. It might be between 100 and 102. You know how many people AEW has? The last time I counted, not including managers and announcers, same thing with WWE, not including managers and announcers, AEW I think has like 160, 165. Now, when you look at Raw, I don't mean to be disrespectful right now, but when you look at Raw and you look at SmackDown, who is at the absolute bottom of the barrel in WWE? Would you say Xia Li? Would you say Candice LeRae? Nothing personal against them. It's just that when they come out, you could hear somebody farting in section 710. All right, when you look at that, when you look at the men's side, could it be Cameron Grimes? Really, that's their bottom of the barrel. You go to AEW, and you could honestly take about 40 people that are at that bottom of the barrel, and some of them are on Rampage tonight. Some of them are on TV almost every fucking week. So when you realize that the biggest stars that AEW has, people are pretty much tired of, they got a major problem. They don't have a pulse on what the majority of wrestling fans want. They have to depend on blood. They have to depend on gore. Look at Sting and Darby Allin. They're getting a title shot Wednesday. I swear to God, me and Kev bet some goof online, $50, that they're going to add a stipulation where it's no DQ and all this other stuff. Sure enough, what happened on the banner last day? Texas tornado match. Yeah, it's like everything's got to be a clusterfuck. That's why rules aren't enforced all that much. Because when I listen, it's the Grand Theft Auto mindset. It's the Game Genie mindset. For anybody that goes back to the 90s, remember Game Genie? That's what AEW is. Who the fuck would want to play WWE 2K24 where I could possibly lose to the computer? If I'm going to play fight mode and promoter mode and go straight to the top mode, I'm going to put in a couple of cheat codes and I want to go right to the fucking top. I'm going to be better than Goldberg and Asuka and Jade Cargill's records combined. I'm going to be 911-0. I'm going to put cheat codes in. I'm going to be able to cheat. I'm going to be able to do everything I fucking can and I can still go. If I'm going to play Pac-Man, if I'm going to play Gallagher, I want infinite lives. I want to get to the end. I don't want to just lose and start over again. So AEW, it's like Game Genie. Everything's got to be no DQ. Everything's got to be anything goes. Everything's got to be blood. Everything's got to be crazy chaos. Because that's like Grand Theft Auto Vice City. My favorite moments of playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City when it came out, I never played the game. I just kept running people over and see how many cops I could fucking nail with my car. And I play, I ran so far away. I just play the music, run people over, and I get killed, and I'm like, no problem. I get your ass next time. I didn't play to finish the game. I just played to have fun to the max. And after a while, you get numb to it. When I first watched horror films when I was a kid, I had nightmares. Looking back on it, my grandmother, she's been dead since 1991. She's the reason why I'm doing these shows, because she got me into wrestling. But Nana, you fucking sick and twisted taking me to Zombie and Dawn of the Dead and Maniac, which starring Joe Spinell when I was like fucking 11 years old, 9 years old. What am I going to see Dawn of the Dead for? You know, after a while, I was numb to it. And you see gory films after a little while, like, special effects. That's chop meat. That's not real. So after a while, it doesn't bother you anymore. When you see all these psychos out there, you know, what do you hear about psychos? I know this is a horrible comparison, but it's honest. What do you see about psychos out there? They first start abusing insects. And then they start abusing animals. And then they progress to humans. And then humans, they go even more sick and twisted. You know, you always progress. Why? Because you get numb. You get bored at the original stuff. You know, you see even Vince McMahon to an extent. Let's be honest. This guy was always a pervert, you know, but he just kept going and the excitement level and this and that. And he finally found his freak. I hate to say it like that, but he finally found someone to fulfill his twisted, sick fantasy. And that'll segue into this. Police Squad. Frank Drebin. Hello, DT. Hello, chat. Do you know this? DT, you know this is coming tonight, so I'm going to be first to ask, what's your thoughts on John Laurinaitis calling himself a victim of Vince's abuse? I think he's full of shit. Oh, look at that. This shit emoji popped up. That's cool. Thank you, Police Squad. All right. I promise you I will save your pain. This is a preview for Monday's show with Kev. We're going to be talking a lot of topics, including TNA and WWE. Are they possibly having the mid-90s-esque relationship like WWE had with ECW? That may be on the horizon, everyone. We're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk about this rat. This rat. Hey, John, you want some cheese, you fucking rat? That guy, John Laurinaitis, you know what's funny? I swear on Jesus Christ, I'll never do another show again. Going back to the Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline that I did with Matt Zombie and Brian Damage in 2001. We used to talk about John Laurinaitis going through model magazines and say, ooh, look, Amy Weber. Ooh, look, Candice Michelle. Ooh, look at this fucking sexy motherfucker. That guy has been trying to get his knob wet since it was a little millimeter monster. That guy has always been involved with rats. I hate to say it like that, but back in the 80s and the 90s, Johnny Ace was always partying with rats. This is not a mindset. He's calling himself victim. Honestly, I feel even worse for this Janelle Grant. Even if Janelle Grant was lying about his stuff, I still take her side now. Because that woman, do you remember, my friends, Kevin and I's prediction on Monday? That our fear, it's not really a prediction, but our fear is that we may get a defense that she wanted it, that she liked it. Hey, everybody, look at these text messages that I got. Does this look like somebody that didn't want it? I have a fear that that's going to happen, but we also fear that John Laurinaitis is going to make. How did you actually think? Forget the character on TV. How do you actually think? You found a lawyer that knows nothing about your life, that knows nothing about your wrestling career, that know nothing about your lawyer is looking at this with legalese and saying, Your Honor, look at the text message. Vince is treating him like an employee with fringe benefits. If Vince was forcing me, then you know what? Then grow some whiskers, eat lots of cheese, go swipe it from Steve Urkel, and go testify against Vince McMahon against the feds. Let's see if you do that, you rat. No, you are a fucking liar. You are a liar. You're perceived to be a liar. Your lawyer doesn't know nothing about you, and you're tormenting. I mean, look, he's getting sued. He's getting sued from Janelle Grant. So you obviously understand he's not going to sit back and go, Your Honor, what is he going to say? So he's saying he's a victim of circumstance. Well, guess what? Guess what? If he was so guilty, when she came over for breakfast, how's about giving her a dozen donuts instead of your asshole? Honestly, Vince wasn't in there. There wasn't security cameras. He didn't ask for video or picture proof. If Vince sent her to his house and he felt bad and he didn't want to go through with this, when she came to the house, he's like, look, I know what he's doing. I feel bad. Let's lie. Let's just tell him that we had a great time. I'll text you, thanks for breakfast. He'll think that I got laid, but you actually made me scrambled eggs, and we're all good to go. I don't buy this at all. This is a lawyer. Let me put it like this. This is just opinion, everyone. I don't have any evidence either way, but my opinion is this. Compare John Laurinaitis to someone who committed whatever crime you want. I don't want to say the M word, but whatever crime you want. And the person is arrested. They're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but they still have a right to legal counsel. Your Honor, I can't afford a lawyer. Look at Tammy Sitch. With all due respect, look at Sonny. Your Honor, I can't afford a lawyer. Or she can afford a lawyer. And the lawyer's looking at this, and the lawyer's like saying to himself, like, you're fucked. What are you, stupid? You did this. But the lawyer's job is to defend you in court. And if your lawyer does not defend you in court and goes against you, you could try to call for a mistrial. I was not represented properly. This was influence, and this was that. So you could get the most vile people who have committed heinous crimes, and yet you still get the right to counsel, and they have to defend you. When was the last time you saw a scumbag get arrested for a horrible crime? They go in the courtroom, and the lawyer for the defendant goes up in the court and says, Your Honor, he's fucking guilty. I can't be on this case. Give him another lawyer. He's fucking guilty. I can't. I'd be lying. I can't look at my kids at night. You never see that. So John Laurinaitis' lawyer is doing what he thinks is necessary to defend this case. Nobody believes. Let me put it this way. You remember in the court papers when she asked John Laurinaitis, is this the first time you had a threesome with Vince? And John Laurinaitis looked at Vince like, I guarantee you, when this lawyer looked at those papers and Johnny is like, look, I'm a victim of this. I think the lawyer probably went like this. I don't buy it. You're a fucking liar, and he's going to turn into a rat. Trust me. This is the sit down. This is the sit down. Members of the Gotti family went to my wedding in 1999. We know what a rat looks like, smells like. Not what it tastes like, though. Thank you, police squad. All right. I think we are done with the super shout-outs. Let's head on over to Mr. Chat Room. Oh. Good. I'm glad. I don't want to forget this. Honey, could you give me the papers on the printer? Hope she's dressed. Yeah, she's dressed. We're not the type to walk around naked in our house. I think I'm going to walk. I won't even show you the patch on my back right now. I had back surgery yesterday. I'm sitting forward so it doesn't hurt too much right now. Thank you. I needed these papers for a reason. First off, congratulations to OTS Tribal Queen, one of our awesome moderators here. She won the Royal Rumble predictions contest. Nicholas Bronson and OTS Tribal Queen both tied for the lead for our channel members, but she had the better tiebreaker. She came closest to the four-way match for Roman Reigns' belt. So OTS Tribal Queen, you have to get in touch with me so I could send you your choice of either a $50 Amazon gift card, AEW, WWE, or PayPal, which means I'm going to get your mailing address or your email address. I delete them. I've been doing this for 20 something years. I've never kept anybody's address. Even people that, I thought, well, no, we don't do that. Also, there was one other one. Oh, I want to shout out Storm Force Gamer, Fire V, Cha-Cha Nico, and IE Sean, along with D-Block, Mike Mendez, and the TCB, and Cause and Effect. They are our newest channel members here on YouTube. So next week on the sit down, we're going to give away 5 more free memberships. So you could access DTKC shows here. You could access, the challenges that we do, Patreon shows that I do. And this weekend, I'm putting up retro shows. So you're going to get some cool shit out there. And your name will be on the credits, too. All right. Can I just do one quick thing before we move on to whatever else you want to talk about in wrestling? I really got to mention this. Rest in peace to Carl Weathers. I don't say enough how much Rocky II is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think the reason why I forget about it a lot is because we had fucking 19 Rockies, over the years. But, I look back on it and I say to myself, man, they should not have killed Apollo Creed's character off. I could see Mickey, Mickey half deaf. He's half dead. I loved, his acting, but you can't win, Rock. That's someone you kill their character off. But Apollo Creed, man, Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 were spectacular. Rocky 3, he's in the corner of, Sylvester Stallone. But, man, for me, I know a lot of you are more about the Carl Weathers of today. But for me, it's Rocky movies. It's Apollo Creed. It's Predator. And it's Happy Gilmore. That's and those recent commercials with that former WWE 24/7 champion whose brother I ended up getting into a cursing match with because he fucking ripped off my father earlier last year. Anybody remember that story when my father ordered like exercise equipment and then he canceled the order and they refused to cancel the order and they tried to ship it anyway? Yeah, it was, who's the former 24/7 champ that was on the Patriots? You remember him. He was on the Patriots and he's now retired, or he came back again and retired. Gronk, yeah. Gronkowski's brother. I never told the story on the show because I was afraid of being sued, but I don't mind saying it. Well, he ended up doing the right thing in the end. But yeah, he almost ripped my father off for like $2,000. I have the conversation recorded. He fucking started yelling at me and, calling me this and calling me. I was like, fuck you. I was like, I'll just cancel you. I'll go on my show and fucking tell everybody you're a ripoff, you asshole. His brother sells like equipment and stuff. And yeah, go look it up. But he did do the right thing. He did do the right thing. He did give the refund. I always get what I want. So, but yeah, Carl Weathers, man, it hits home for me because he's only a year older than my dad, and look at the shape that guy was in. Like, with all due respect, if you would have said to me, who's going to pass away first, your dad or Apollo Creed? Sorry, Dad. My father's gone through a lot of health problems. He's still fighting and he's still here, thank God. But, it just goes to show you, you could be in the most amazing shape. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So rest in peace, Carl Weathers, 76 years old. Good actor, man. And a good man. Good man. A lot of love for that man. All right. Edward G. Edward G as well. Yes, thank you for the 2-spot. And I echo your sentiments 100%. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. That caught me by surprise. And there is a nice tribute online by Sylvester Stallone, 2-minute video. But, I always loved the ending of Rocky 3. When they both went to punch each other. That's always ding, ding. So, yeah, everybody's got an expiration date, man. It's going to happen. I just hope if it happens to me, it happens while I'm sleeping. I mean, it would kind of suck if it happened live on the show. Actually, you know what? I'd probably become famous. If I dropped dead while I was doing the show live over here, by natural causes, of course, I probably would end up being on one of those like $5-10 million views YouTube videos, like YouTubers who died on camera. I can only imagine what they would assume. They wouldn't know anything about me. Oh, there's Don Tony, who claimed to be on keto, and that's because he ate 35 pounds of bacon a day. Michael Gonzalez, what are my thoughts on Mick Foley saying he wants one more match at the age of 60? I bet you it happens in AEW. I bet you it happens in AEW. Look, Mick Foley, I adore for obvious reasons, but Mick Foley does not look like physically that he can do it. I know what some of you are going to say. Think of Mick Foley's career. Does he give a shit about pain? It's not about the pain aspect of it. It's about him moving around like a weeble wobble. You know, he's gonna look like a weeble wobble. Seriously, if you took Aubrey Edwards and gave her 1,000 cheeseburgers and then like kick her in the knees when she goes like this, you remember the ECW video game? Remember the first ECW video game before you would lock up? You'd be standing there and you'd be like this. That's what Mick Foley would look like in a ring. And Mick Foley, I adore that man. I swear this is not an exaggeration. I am a better person because of Mick Foley, because I see with my own eyes good things that he has done. And just an awesome man. Don't agree with all of his political views, but is just a genuinely awesome man. I don't want to see that unless he truthfully thinks he could do it. If he does a comedy segment, takes out Sacco, does one or two moves, you know, I don't have a problem with that. But listen, he could get himself in shape. He's had surgeries to make himself physically more mobile. Mick, if you do it, I will root for you 1,000% and then some, but just please don't embarrass yourself. You know, that man loves wrestling and he loves entertaining people. You know, I don't want to see, you know, a train wreck, you know, to be his last match. You know what's interesting, guys? I don't know what Mick Foley's last match is. And that might be a good thing for all of us. Like, you know, sure, Sting's match, you know, it's going to be done the right way and he's going to go out in a blaze of glory. But sometimes maybe it's better to not know some of your favorites' last match, because sometimes their last match is some of the most embarrassing. And I don't want to see my last thoughts of somebody in the ring. Look at Ric Flair. I mean, I appreciate those in the business that respect everything that Ric Flair has done, you know, outside of his antics, and, you know, really, truly know a side of the man that you and I don't. But if you would have took Bad Grandpa and just stopped feeding him for 3 weeks, I mean, you saw the flab. I mean, look at me. Look at me. I have flab. His looked like 90-year-old woman flab. He didn't look good. It was embarrassing. You know, you like Rick. You're happy for him. He got his bucket list. But, nah, man, that match was cringe. The people around him made it better. He had no business being in that ring. I don't care what anybody says. But they did draw well. That should tell you something. Good undercard, though. Doesn't get enough credit. Dream 101 with the 5 spot. Thank you, Dream. Goofs are saying Gunther should vacate the title and go after Seth. That would be 600 days down the drain. You don't do that. They're not doing that. What is this, Samoa Joe? And look, here's another example. Samoa Joe vacates the Ring of Honor TV title, and he had a record reign, if I remember correctly, because he wanted to focus on the heavyweight title. Okay, he ended up winning a heavyweight title, right? But he was also a tag team champion before that. So he relinquished the TV title because the only belt he wanted was the heavyweight title, and then he became a tag. And please don't tell me, well, his master plan was to go for the heavyweight title all along. Oh, God, come on. Everything that we watch on TV is scripted. Everything that we see is scripted. You know, I appreciate those that fall suspension of disbelief and are like, I can't believe Damage Control did that to Bayley. Huh? What are you talking about? What are you, 6? Like, how's about, I can't believe that WWE went that route. That's the actual thing. But we're wrestling fans. When we're watching it on TV, we're not supposed to think about that stuff. Like when you go to a movie, you know, you're supposed to forget that it's a movie. You know, when you root for the good guy actually didn't do shit. But when the good guy ends up getting the bad guy in the end, everybody cheers. I cheer as well. Because suspension of disbelief, that's what TV and entertainment is supposed to do. But it also has to make sense. Just, you know, when you say, hey, I want to go from my house to your house. And instead of taking the straight route and getting there in 10 minutes, I decide, hey, look, sheep. And I take a detour. And then I end up on the wrong road. And then I get back on the right road, but then I made a left where I was supposed to make a right. And then 3 hours later, I finally get to you. You can't say, oh, you know, it was long-term booking. Long-term booking. Hey, he's got to his destination, didn't he? Byron Cutler is here in WWE 2K24 is awesome. Thank you, Dream. I'm hearing good things as well. I am going to get the PC version of the game. I definitely want to play it. It's one of those that it just looks fun, even just on arcade modes. See, me, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I probably would have played like the full seasons of baseball and basketball and, do the whole GM mode and build your own franchise. At this stage of the game, having all these shows and, putting in the time for that and regular job and being married and having sick family, like for me, it's arcade mode. Kick some ass for a half hour and that's it. Turn it off. So, but the game it's getting really, really good reviews. And that's not an AEW, WWE thing. It's just this one seems like they really knocked it out of the park. So, there's a few of you out there that do think that Cody is still going to win the championship. I agree with you. I think we could end up with Roman, Rock, Cody, like we said a couple of weeks ago. I just cannot see Roman keeping that belt another year. Just think back at the last 9 months, my friends. Go think back to Tribal Combat. Think back to this Fatal 4-Way. Think back to the match with LA Knight. Think back to, every match ends the same fucking way. We're tired of it. Forget Hogan's record or forget this, forget that. We're tired of that stuff. The Rock being involved is cool and everything, but that man is not going to be around on camera. He's not winning the championship. I mean, if he wins the championship, who's he going to defend it against? When is he going to really wrestle? Saudi Arabia? I think that Cody is still on path. Dog 29J, thank you for the $1.99. Believe it or not, I can't play the CM Punk spoof song here. I'll get flagged because it's got the beat to Los Guerreros. There's a lot of music that I would love to play online, but you get hit with copyrights. Even audio only now, it's a different world compared to 10 years ago. I forget which, it might have been Spreaker or Stitcher. I don't remember which one is still around, but I had an account with them for about 15 years and I didn't even know it. And I found old shit on there and I republished everything. I figured, spread the word, DTKC is back. And they shut my account down. And the reason that they shut it down was, I had a whole bunch of copyrighted music. I didn't even get a chance to take the shows down. Luckily, I have a second account and everything is on save. It's not published. But yeah, I can't just put stuff up like I used to because you get hit with copyrights and, you don't get many chances. And you can't blow it on something like that. But, I could play it like on a Patreon. And it's not about a money grab. Trust me. I could play it on things where, a server and, it doesn't get flagged or something like that. So even Monday, I hope you all know the story as to why I used House of Pain. I didn't choose House of Pain as the first return song for Kevin and I doing shows. What happened was I had an old intro with Kevin and I all ready to go. And it was a good one too. And I had it queued up and some guy was ragging on my ass bad. Oh, DT, what the fuck? Why aren't you on YouTube with Kevin? This is bullshit. Why are you making people go on Discord? This is bullshit. We're in 2023. This is bullshit. Stop making all of your viewers jump around. That's exactly what he said. It's on my Twitter. He said, stop making your viewers and listeners jump around. And my response was, jump up and get down. And I said, you know what? Fuck you. And I put House of Pain at the beginning. But I could only put it for like 11 seconds. Otherwise, I would got hit with a flag. So that's why you hear House of Pain at the beginning. Because when he told me I'm making people jump around, I'm like, yeah, jump around. Jump up and get down. And I put on House of Pain. So go on my Twitter. You could see. I don't know the guy's name. Hey, he was a good sport about it, though. He left. So, but there's always a reason behind stuff that we do. Psycho says the 2012 Royal Rumble was Mick's last match. No, he's done stuff on the indie circuit. Trust me, I remember the Joey Ryan match that I hated. He's done a lot of indie stuff, and I don't see Mick Foley having his last match in the WWE. Goldberg, I see having his last match in the WWE. I don't see Mick Foley having his last match in the WWE. I think he could end up in AEW. I really do. Roderick Storer report online that Brock Lesnar is out of Mania, creative plans. How long before we see Brock, if ever? Look, Kevin and I are going to talk about WWE erasing Vince, WWE erasing Brock. Everybody thinks that WWE erased the fabulous Moolah. It's more of, shh, we can't celebrate her publicly. Snickers might get mad. The IWC might get mad. This all stems from that Dark Side of the Ring episode. You honestly think for 50 years, besides the leader of sports entertainment, you don't think for 50 years the wrestling world and the women of wrestling knew what Fabulous Moolah did? Fabulous Moolah was a shyster of a promoter. She knew that women's wrestling did not sell, and if she was going to get women opportunities, she was going to take half their money, 3/4 of their money. But guess what? Nobody was held at, you didn't see any of them saying, I was held at gunpoint. I was forced against my will to wrestle under the Fabulous Moolah. No, if you didn't like it, you go fucking get work on your own. Yeah, but I'll be banished everywhere. Well, then go work somewhere else. That's the nature of the beast. You want to work for a business where you're going to be forced out unless you deal with certain people, as long as it's not criminal, sexual, things like that. Oh, well, that's life. That's what happens. It's called politics. Somebody goes really against the grain. Not everybody could be CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless. You go into a different line of work and you become the voice of the voiceless and be the renegade of everything, and you see how fast you're out of employment. It's just the way it is. I'm not defending Brock and I'm not defending Vince. I'm just telling you that a boatload of people in the WWE knew exactly how weird of a man Vince is. I don't think anybody truly thought he was this bad, but they're still grateful for the opportunity and this and that. Listen, in case you haven't realized, what the elite media is trying to do the last 7 days is they're trying to send this message that the AEW locker room is closer than ever, but the WWE locker room is in shock by what Vince did. Vince stepped down in 2022. Vince was under investigation by the feds last year. Vince was accused of some horrible things, including the R word with Rita Chatterton. All right. A lot of this outside of the text messages and people finding out, wow, he named a dildo after me. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, other than seeing it, people a lot of this was already aware, and it was before TKO bought the company. It was before TKO bought the company. So, here's a good one. Here's a good one. Listen, just so you know, I only printed this. And I printed this. And all this is the winners of the predictions contest. Dynamite did 818 in the ratings. NXT did 648. That's what that page is. This page is John Laurinaitis saying I was a victim. That's all that is. Do you know what this is? This is something that is starting to float around in the wrestling news world. And there's a reason why this is floating around. And if you tuned in to Kevin and I's discussion on Monday about Vince, what you're about to hear, we said word for word in our analysis of Triple H at the Royal Rumble press conference. You went online, everybody was calling for Triple H's head. Everybody. We were the only people that said, what do you expect him to do? He works for TKO Group Holdings. He's not going to throw the company under the bus and risk stock and risk hurting the company to give wrestling media a soundbite against Vince. He's married to Vince's daughter. As weirder as a wacko as Vince is, he's put in a very bad situation and didn't want to talk about it. He's not going to give people a soundbite just to make them satisfied. And we would only want to say that. This is floating around the wrestling news world. And if you do a Google search, you will see there's about 60 sites writing the same thing. You know what this says? Update. TKO is said to be pretty satisfied about how Triple H handled the post-Royal Rumble press conference, especially regarding the questions about the lawsuit filed against Vince McMahon. As tough as it was, the WWE chief operating officer did his best to not put the company or anybody within it in any kind of jeopardy or awkward position. TKO Group Holdings' trust towards Triple H is now reportedly even higher than what it was. Simple English, they got busted. They used their emotions as news. And then they found out, how we felt about Triple H is not how TKO, that's how the corporate billionaire world works. They didn't think about that the night of the Royal Rumble. They all ran to trash Triple H. And once they realized, we were wrong, it's an update. No, it wasn't an update. That's what this was the whole time. It's just they don't like that Triple H didn't bash Vince. So they decided, let's go this route. And they got caught. How did Kevin and I get it so right and everybody else got it so wrong? Because we don't put our emotions in there. We express our opinions, but sometimes our opinions and what facts are two totally different things. You know, I personally think Brock Lesnar really didn't do anything wrong. The only person that should be upset with him is Sable. And like I showed on the thumbnail the other day, Sable should have taken their dog and have the dog pee all over his face while he's sleeping. While he's sleeping. Seriously, Sable should grab their bulldog and while he's sleeping, give that bulldog a quart of water and just let him pee all over Brock's face. Put a wee-wee pad over Brock's head just so you can get the scent. And when Brock wakes up, he's like, what the fuck? You want somebody to pee on your face? Here's Charlie. In fact, guess what? I named my dog's penis against Vince. I named your dog's penis Vince. He peed all over your face. How do you like it? The only person that should be upset at Brock is Sable. Brock had a fantasy, but he didn't fulfill it. Oh, well, it was a snowstorm. Well, guess what? If Robert De Niro didn't kill Maury and just said, not tonight, did he do anything wrong? Oh, he just changed his mind. They were playing cards. They were having fun. Goodfellas. You know, it was a snowstorm. So he would have done it, but he didn't do it. He never met with her. He never hooked up with her, never had relations. Regardless of that's awful. That is immoral. He didn't do anything. In the end, he didn't do anything. I guarantee you there are people out there that fantasize about some wild shit And they'll never write it. They'll never say it, but they'll think it. And they'll think it and be like, oh my God, could you imagine if I ever did, go to Thailand? Yeah. That used to be a thing in the indie wrestling scene. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll have a conversation another day. Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we talked about it in detail. There were American indie wrestlers that used to go to overseas to some countries simply because, There's actually a YouTube video talking about Thailand right now if you want to go see what I'm talking about. But someone could fantasize, but if they didn't set things in motion and go through with it or attempt to go through with it, it's at the end of the day, it's a fantasy. At the end of the day, it's a fantasy. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. I could be way off on this. I admit it. But I don't report it as fact. That's the problem. Everybody reports it as news. It's not news. Nobody at TKO was upset with Triple H. Triple H did the right thing, whether we like it or not. Triple H works for TKO. You want a good example of it? Go look up. You probably don't even know about this. Kevin and I are going to bring it up Monday. Go look up the Netflix press conference from 2 days ago. Some woman, I don't have the news in front of me, but some woman that is the head of Netflix was asked about the Vince McMahon lawsuit and if that's going to hurt or jeopardize in any way the deal with Netflix and WWE, $500 billion deal, $500 million deal, excuse me. She said, he's gone. He's gone. He has nothing to do with it. He's gone. And that was it. That was it. Nobody's calling for a head. Nobody's saying that Netflix is no. She said, look, he's gone. He's gone. He's not involved anymore. He's gone. That's it. We're worried about the future, and we see WWE's steady viewers, consistent viewers for 30 years, and we think that we'll do well with it. Nobody questioned it. In fact, a lot of people in wrestling never reported it because it made too much sense. She did very similar what Triple H did. Mikel Casanova. I used to hate that R&B song. Anybody remember that song? Casanova. What's up, Mikel? This is why I always come here to get my wrestling news, because they call it down the line, down the middle with no BS. I always quote you on being right, not being first, because it's 100% true, DT. I appreciate it. I know my formula is not the most popular. I know we could go a totally different route and get 10 times people tuning in. But I truthfully, this is how I've always been. And you give us a couple of months, Kevin and I's return, and you see people are going to be shocked as far as the numbers. Some people out there, it's they do what they do. But, I only know one way to do this. And honestly, whether it's Mikel with the super shout out, or anybody that's just listening in the background, downloads the show, or anybody that's a patron or YouTube subscriber, YouTube member, or someone that I never will ever even know you existed, I feel I'm disrespecting you if I were to just play with your emotions, because I know it would just pull you in even more. I think it's disrespectful if I know that something being reported is bullshit and I report it anyway. And then once it's found out that it's bullshit, I could just say, well, Justin Barrasso reported it. You never heard out of our mouths about Justin Barrasso saying that Cody's not doing this. I know what some of you can say, well, he was right. Cody's not finished. No, that's not what was being said. He said Cody was taking on CM Punk and this was going to happen here. And, it just, if it smells funny and it looks funny and it sounds funny, I don't report it and then say, well, he said it. I'm just reacting on what he said. If it sounds ridiculous, I don't even put it on here. So I appreciate that. I know it's an unpopular formula these days, but sooner or later, people catch on. All right. How long are we gone? 69 minutes. Let's stay for, how's about we stay for 90? Not 90 more, but another 21 minutes. And then we'll wrap it up. I don't want to overload because in 3 days, Kevin and I will be back, and that's going to be a loaded show. We have a lot of stuff to get into. And yeah, we'll be talking about the truth about, Brock. I personally think Brock will be off of WrestleMania. You know why I think Brock has to be off WrestleMania? And, I should answer this because you asked earlier. As much as I feel Brock really didn't do much wrong, I'll say this. If Brock is announced for WrestleMania, even if he's taking on Gunther, there's going to be people in the media that is going to question Brock Lesnar being at WrestleMania. If you see Royal Rumble weekend, every fucking podcaster who opened up their wallet and paid $1,000 plus to go to Florida to the Royal Rumble with their iPhones or their extra little magical microphone and got sound bites from wrestlers. Oh, look, I'm a journalist. Some of them, God bless them, fulfilled their fantasy. But you know for a fucking fact that WrestleMania weekend, hey, Otis, come here. What do you think about Brock being in WrestleMania, even though he's accused in his lawsuit? Hey, Maxine. Hey, Dakota. Hey, Gunther. Hey. Every wrestler will be asked, what's your view on Brock Lesnar being in the WrestleMania, even though he's accused of... So you don't put him on WrestleMania. And this way, nobody brings up about Brock Lesnar being at WrestleMania. There's nothing... The only way that changes is if Janelle Grant says, oh, no, it was not Brock Lesnar on the lawsuit. I want to clear that up for Brock Lesnar's, for his name. It's not him. It's someone else. It's Cain Velasquez. No. That's the only way. Because he's mentioned, people will make it the center of attention. And WWE, especially if The Rock is involved in this WrestleMania now, they do not want anybody to try to get a soundbite. What's your view on Brock Lesnar being at WrestleMania, despite being named in this lawsuit? That's why I agree. Brock Lesnar should not be part of WrestleMania 40. And I will go one step further. I had a conversation with someone in wrestling the last couple of days. This same person talked to Kevin as well. And you want a little rumor floating around the water cooler in WWE? It's that Brock Lesnar is no longer with WWE. Not because they fired him, but because he's done. That he's done. Vince is out of there. He's out of there. He just doesn't want it. I don't believe it. I want to make this clear. Do not float this around. But somebody told me that they heard that Brock is just done. He just doesn't want anything with WWE right now. Could it be because maybe he feels he didn't do anything wrong? He never went through with any of this. So why is he being, I think Brock Lesnar has this I don't give a fuck attitude. I'll just fucking hunt. I'll just hunt. And that's the attitude. It's not someone like, I love wrestling. I need wrestling. Now, if Tony Khan were to bring Brock into that company, as a wrestling fan, I would be like, whoa, that would be fucking interesting. But at the same time, though, then Tony Khan gets grilled. How could you bring this man in after what was accused of him in a lawsuit? So I think we will not see Brock until summertime at minimum. At minimum. JS would like to know thoughts on the Twitter hall monitors attacking Chris Van Vliet. I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Attacking him for what? I know he interviewed Matt Riddle. Oh, I'm not doing this for name drop. I'm doing it because I want to prep you all. And my sincere apologies. I know at minimum Misha's watching this. Maybe Matt Riddle is as well. The other day, when we were doing the show, I got a DM from Matt Riddle, and I didn't know until after the show was over. And he just wanted to thank me for, keeping it real, that not too many people do that anymore. And he said, if there's anything that I need and if I want him to come on, he's here. So I'm saying this publicly Not as a bragging thing, but because if you all want Kevin and I to do a little thing, or myself and Matt Riddle do a little thing, I will tell you right now, it's not going to be kind of like an interview format. We're just going to have a conversation, a discussion, maybe answer some questions that you may have. That's if you're interested. I'm not going to do it simply to do it. I don't interview people, but I'll do it if you are really interested and you want to hear a little side. But, he was very appreciative. And believe me, the stuff that I said about JFK, you notice no one's reporting that. Shh. We need a reason to keep it controversial. Nobody has the balls to say that the cop at JFK Airport, what are you, a fucking sissy? The fuck is it fingernails that painted? The fuck, what are you, a girl? You can't say that in 2023, 2024. That's what happened. Nobody wants to hear that. So I appreciate what you said. I haven't responded to him yet privately. So, but so let me know if you want me to have him on, because I am going to be contacting him. I mean, it's been a couple of days, but I did have surgery yesterday. No bullshit. Look, I'll hide my date of birth for credit purposes, but there's my hospital band from yesterday. Look at my things. They did IVs on both. You see here, over here, it's swollen. Trust me, I'm not Jesus. I didn't get nailed to no cross. This is not paint. I have my IVs. I'm not going to show you my back right now because it's in a bad spot and it's too near the crack level. So, but when I take the bandage off in 2 weeks, I'll show you the stitches and everything. So I had spinal surgery yesterday. The battery inside me was going bad, and one of my metal leads was giving off some type of, it was deteriorating, and I got an infection a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you all noticed, about 2 weeks ago, my face, I know my face is puffy, but 2 weeks ago it looked like an Italian basketball. I had a bad reaction to antibiotics, and I blew up about 15 pounds in 2 days. And it was pretty serious. And they're like, we have to take the leads out and change the battery. So that's what I had done yesterday. So, for real. No bullshit. Tristan, what do I think of Vince McMahon versus Stephanie McMahon I Quit match at No Mercy? I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of seeing, Vince beating up Stephanie. I just never liked the family stuff. The only thing I liked was Vince and Shane. That was it. I just felt uncomfortable. I didn't like it. There was nothing about it that made me like it. I just never liked it. There's a lot of things with the Vince McMahon family storyline. That's why I appreciate those that remember my hotline days and even the early podcasting days, because I'm telling you, if you are sick and tired of all the stories that I tell about my shit, we used to instill in people's brains how we thought that whole family was perverted. When he did the wedding angle and Vince stares down and is looking at his daughter's chest, a lot of people forget that clip. Or I also believe that Linda McMahon got her rocks off seeing her husband fooling around with Trish Stratus, seeing the stuff with Tori Wilson, the stuff with Stacy Keibler. I think there was fantasies of, seeing him with other women. I think that there's a weirdness. In fact, I'm saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it because no one else is saying it. Linda McMahon is going to look awful in this if she don't divorce him. If she keeps married to him because of money, or she signed an NDA, that makes her look awful. In my opinion, Linda McMahon has to file for divorce. Has to. Because if she stays married to this, and we find out that this is mostly true, and she stays married because of business, it makes her look ridiculously bad. No one is targeting Linda yet. Remember where you heard it first. Psycho's asking, what's the most cringe storyline that I can remember? I wish I could say Katie Vick, but I laughed at that. When he threw the chop meat, I laughed. I thought it was funny. Cringe? I can't right now. There's so many over the years There's tons of cringe moments. I can't think of any offhand. Maybe when they had the hot lesbian action and they were teasing to seduce Stephanie, or maybe when Eric Bischoff kind of like hit on Linda McMahon and he was talking about her big chest. I mean, the funny thing is, how old is Linda McMahon right now? Could someone go and check Linda's age? Because if she, let's say Linda is 75 right now, that means she would have been about 53 when she did the storyline with Bischoff. Okay, thank you. She's 75. She was 53 when she did that segment with Bischoff. I'm Linda McMahon's age. And even at that time, I was like, I wouldn't go anywhere near that. If I was pissed drunk at a club and it was 3:00 in the morning and I was just like really lonely and the only person in the place was Linda, I would have probably got an empty roll of toilet paper and a little lotion and call it a day. I never found Linda McMahon attractive. I don't know why. She always reminded me of who was the vice presidential candidate for Walter Mondale, the first woman to be a vice presidential candidate. Someone out there knows who I'm talking about. The Billy and Chuck wedding was great. That was great. Because Eric Bischoff, moderating. Did somebody say 3 minutes? What was it? Walter Mondale and somebody else. Someone is doing a Google search right now. Who's that news reporter that everybody hates? How could it be Mike Dukakis if it was a woman? God bless some of you out there. If any of you older people think I'm talking about Sarah Palin. Walter Mondale was the 1984 presidential candidate, and his vice presidential candidate was a woman. Geraldine Ferrara. Thank you very much. If any of you out there, if you Google if Geraldine Ferrara slept with Mary Jo Buttafuoco and didn't get, nailed in the face, if you know what I'm talking about, that would be Linda McMahon. I'd rather go with Geraldine Ferrara or Mary Jo Buttafuoco before Linda McMahon. They just have that teacher look. Like that older woman with like whitish hair teacher, like the one that you just like, you can never like envision you. So that's how she always looked to me. Never ever, but yeah, just there's so many cringe storylines. I can't think of anything offhand. I know there was some not too long ago. I just can't remember what they were. I really can't. I was thinking about AEW the other day when they had all those MMA guys involved for a little while and Paige Van Zandt and all that. I was like, oh my God. You think back how god awful that stuff was. But yet we tuned in for it. All right. We're going to wrap it up in 6.5 minutes. We'll finish it exactly 90 minutes. So once again, don't forget, this Monday, Kevin and I will be back. We have a lot of topics to talk about. We're going to get in some AEW stuff, TNA, WWE. We'll see what happens on Raw Monday, which that'll have obvious WrestleMania implications. We'll touch up on a little bit more that happened on SmackDown. We got quite a few things to get into. Who's this? Swapnil? What if Roman, without interference, starts giving 5-star matches like Gunther versus Dragunov, keeping his title? And what if I grew breast and I could breastfeed and I could actually draw milk? Roman Reigns is not designed to be a 5-star match guy. A lot of our favorites are not designed to put on 5-star matches. If you are emotionally into it, connected, quality, as long as the match is good, you look back at Rock Hulk Hogan. That, to me, that is the best example of them all. You go back to Rock and Hulk Hogan, and if you just watch that match for work rate, 3 stars at most. If you mute it, if you fucking just eliminated the background of the crowd and just had Rock and Hogan in the ring, 3 stars. But it's one of my favorite matches of all time. The crowd, the commentators, the story, everything about that match. Doesn't have to be 5-star. This would be awesome. I hate when people do that stuff. I really don't like putting star matches on things. If you are into it and it's wild and you enjoy it and it just really creates a memory for you, that's 5 stars. That's 5 stars, not the match quality. That's my honest opinion. Raul Harris, thank you for the 2-spot. What's my thoughts on the Divas Search storyline? Ha ha. My man, you have no idea what that means. I invite you or anyone out there to go on Wayback Machine. Look up the year that Christy Hemme won the Divas Search. Look up when Jamie Copey won the Divas Search. We created so much controversy on wrestling-news.com. If you look up those 2 years, and I'm sure somebody will probably check the years for me right now. If you go on Wayback Machine and you look up at the time that they won, you will find on my website a story called Christy Carmella. Christy Carmella. Christy Carmella. We did a 3 or a 4 month story that was just ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. And you will be blown. In fact, I think next week I will put a link up here for all of you to click on it. We knew 3 months before the Divas Search finals that it was coming down to Christy Hemme and Carmella de Sacer. And step by step, we were outing all of these things that they were doing, but the plan from the beginning was Christy Carmella, Christy Carmella. Every week on my hotline, every week on the website, Christy Carmella, Christy Carmella. If you go on Wayback Machine, go to wrestling-news.com and look up at that time, you will see the link, and it still works. Read my story. You will be blown away by it. Plus, Jamie Copey. Here's a little true story. And if you don't believe me, go back to my website when it went down. When Jamie Copey was in the Divas Search, she won the first ever Divas Search. I was given about 500 nudes of Jamie Copey. Not hardcore stuff, but a lot of nudes. And there's an infamous photo on wrestling-news.com where you see Jamie Copey, and in place of her nipples, I put the Aflac duck. And I put all the nudes up. And she sent me an email. I still have the email because I still have my old emails. I don't delete nothing. She sent me an email and she says, Anthony, I need to ask you for a favor. I am not going to stay in wrestling. I'm leaving modeling. I have a family. I have kids that are too young to understand what I did. I ask that you please take those nudes down because no one else has them. And I don't want my kids to grow up and see their mother in that way. And I responded back and I said, no, are you stupid? No, I said to her, I said, absolutely. And I said, I'm very sorry. I said, I thought that these photos were done, that that this was something that was public, and I had no idea. And I respected her. I deleted them, and I'm sure I still got them on my old hard drive. I would never put them publicly, but any of this I'm saying, you could go check. There's proof online. We caused so much chaos in the first 2 years of the Divas Search. Unbelievable. Go on Wayback Machine and go on my website. You will be entertained. I promise you. You'll be like, holy shit. Yeah, we got in some whack out. Listen, I'm not trying to toot our own horns, but you see how Fightful is these days? Like getting a lot of stories. We were Fightful 20 years ago. It's just that we didn't know that you could actually like charge money and, do stuff like that. We were just doing it just to do it. But we were and then Mr. Mystery came along and we were breaking so much TNA stuff. And we called, when Hall Nash and X-Pac show, we were calling that 2 weeks before. And every website was like, they're wrong, they're liars, they're just making up stuff. And then, hey, yo. So those were the days, man. A lot of people these days have no idea that Kevin and I were those guys from 20 years ago. That's why it's kind of even more fun to do what we're doing now, because some people are going to realize, wait a minute, these are them? No fucking way. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Kafir, for the kind words. Much love. And I say much love to all of you. Get a jet out of here. I don't have NXT Vengeance Day predictions as of yet. I'll have them later this week. Maybe Kevin and I will do some on Monday. I don't know. It depends on the flow of the show. We're definitely not going to go 2.5 hours like last Monday. That was our reintroduction. Monday, I expect us to go, I would say, around 90 minutes. You know, we don't want to overload. We're definitely pulling back a little bit on the lengths of the shows, but every conversation we want it to be tight, solid, you know, and we'll see what happens Monday. We say that now, and then we'll probably go 2 hours anyway. So, but I hope you all enjoy your weekend. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably going to wake up early tomorrow morning thinking like, oh shit, I got to get the show together, because we were doing the Don Tony show on Saturdays. And as I said before, that show is still around. We're going to wait for weeks that there really needs another show. You know, it needs to be done in the meantime. It's just, you got to understand, DTKC Show is the flagship show. That is going to be the show to go to for all of the big news and conversation. To do one Friday, Saturday, Monday, or Friday, Sunday, Monday is a lot to bunch together. So, you know, I might do an episode of the DT show, Don Tony show, on a Wednesday. Maybe we'll do it on a Thursday. You know, we'll see. We'll see. But only when it's needed. And I'll give everybody, obviously, ample time to tune in and get ready if you want to join me live. But I will say this. I am pleasantly surprised as to how many people tuned in tonight. There's a lot of people that still don't realize that we're not doing it on Sunday night. But we'll see what the turnout is next week. I know a lot of you are in the wrestling frame of mind on a Friday. So, you know, this turnout is much better than I thought it was going to be tonight, just looking at the total for the night, because not everybody sticks around for the full 90 minutes. They'll stay for a half hour and then come back another time. I don't expect everybody to stay for 90 minutes in one shot. But I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this is the first time you ever checked out the sit down, you know, understand the beginning of the show had to be done because of The Rock's appearance tonight and why Cody would just agree and walk off. There's something else brewing there. You don't flush a 1.5-year story for this. And I'll say this in closing, and I think you all agree. If you ever followed Dusty Rhodes' career, or even if you're a younger fan, if you revisited Dusty Rhodes' career, you understand that Dusty Rhodes was not a great NWA heavyweight champion. Dusty Rhodes, where he was best, was chasing the title. That's why Dusty, 3 title reigns, less than a year combined. One reign is a couple of days. One reign is a couple of weeks. That's because everybody was into the story, chasing it. Once Dusty got it, a lot of that aura and emotion went away. He reached the mountaintop. Now what? Now what? So that's why his reigns were never long. So I ask you this. Even though Cody Rhodes has done a spectacular job the last 1.5 years, Cody Rhodes chasing the story, is it anywhere near the level of Dusty Rhodes in the early 80s? No. Not even fucking close. So when you think of it like that, who wants to see Cody chasing the belt for another year? If this was Dusty Rhodes in the 80s, that's a lot of hearts broken. But Dusty somehow kept everybody fighting for him. You know, Dusty looked like the common man. Dusty was overweight. Dusty was a lot of charisma. Dusty wasn't this 5-star wrestler in the ring. Everybody connected with Dusty because Dusty felt like your garbage man, your neighbor, your butcher. You know, Cody Rhodes is none of that. Cody Rhodes is almost like this perfectly dressed, perfectly manicured, beautiful wife, beautiful kid, beautiful dog, intelligence. I'm not saying that Dusty was an idiot. Cody is nothing like Dusty Rhodes. Cody's story is being the first Rhodes of winning the championship that his father was unable to get. But I became a fan in 79, so I was a little bit past when Dusty feuded with superstar Billy Graham in 77. But I will tell you, from reading the magazines at that time, when I started going to the Garden and started to talk to Georgie Ann and others who were there in the 70s, meeting a lot of people at ringside, a lot of the older fans that were there, I could tell you with 100% surety, no one thought Dusty Rhodes was becoming the Worldwide Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. Everybody knew that Dusty Rhodes was an attraction. Everybody knew that Dusty Rhodes was only going to be around for a short time. Just like no one ever thought Antonio Inoki was ever going to be for a long period of time. Just like anybody else that came in for a little while. Dusty Rhodes was an attraction. He got into a great feud with superstar Billy Graham. But suspension of disbelief, when the matches were going on, their job is to make you think that Dusty's winning the title that night. But deep down inside, no one in New York thought Dusty Rhodes was going to become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation because Dusty Rhodes was not there on a regular basis. So it is rewriting history a little bit. Dusty Rhodes, if he would have beat superstar Billy Graham, he would have lost it 2 weeks later because Dusty Rhodes was not a Worldwide Wrestling Federation regular star. That is something that is lost over time because a lot of people that grew up at that time are either dead or no longer wrestling fans or just keep it quiet because, you know, you don't want to spoil the fun for everybody who's rooting for Cody this time around. But Cody's story is be the first Rhodes to become heavyweight champion, even though he was NWA champion. Dusty never really was in contention for that title. There was never considered. Listen, now I want to make this clear. If Hulk Hogan did not come to the WWF in 84, around that time, there was talk that maybe Dusty Rhodes could be brought in. But even with that, you would have had to pull him from another company. When we used to watch Warner Wolf highlights from Madison Square Garden, I'm sure this brings back memories for a lot of older fans that are tuning in right now. How many of you used to watch Channel 2 News in New York, Warner Wolf? You would get into highlights and he'd show highlights from wrestling at the Garden. And you would see Dusty Rhodes fighting Samoa number 3 or Afa, or he would fight Kamala. Or he would just, like Dusty Rhodes would just be an attraction. Dusty Rhodes was never in contention to become the Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion. Not in 77. He was not a regular. So it's not, the title that Dusty, like that my father came so close. If Dusty was employed on a full-time basis and they didn't give him the belt, then I would agree with him. But that's just not true. It's not true. But Dusty finishing his story, 10 times more emotional than Cody finishing his story. Cody is not the sympathetic common man fighting against the system. Roman Reigns is not the system. People are very smart these days. In 77, people were not smart like they were now. You'd be surprised how many people that truly believe that wrestling was real in the 70s. Even in the early 80s, right around the John Stossel time. You go to on my YouTube channel. Go search Vern Gagne. I have video from 1985 from my own recordings. A lot of footage about local media talking about if wrestling is fake. And you see them interviewing all these adults, and they all think that it's real. This was up until the John Stossel time. It's a great video if you've never seen it, but I'm going to jet out of here. much love as always. I thank you very much for your support. Definitely post your comments. Definitely give me feedback as far as the clips that we posted last week. I know we only posted like 2 or 3 clips from last week's show. We got to start slow. It's a lot of work. But, the one that we did about Vince, I thought was very solid. And it ends up we were right about the Triple H stuff. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be right about the Vince stuff as well. But we'll definitely have some strong convo on Monday. DTKCDiscord.com. And I want to say one last thing about our Discord channel, because some people were really confused Monday, and I don't know why. When you go to our Discord channel, there's a section that says DTKC Live Chat. That's where you go to chat with us and others when we are live. When you want to check out our show live on Discord, there is a channel that says DTKC Live. That's it. There's no hoops to jump to, leap over. You just go to the Discord channel and you look on the column and you'll see DTKC Live Chat, DTKC Live Show. And when we are live, you go in those 2 areas and you can enjoy the show live. We're not doing it on YouTube. And with all due respect, patrons know about this story, but I'll share it now as a chuckle. Last week around 1-ish, I remember exactly what time. Might have been a little bit before, a little after. 2 bigger podcasters on YouTube finished their shows. And we suddenly had this big influx of some people trying to subscribe so they could tune in. And I saw the surge because I got a security alert. Should I let it go or should I shut the Discord down? So I let it go. And a whole bunch of them were like, how can I rewind the show? I just came in now and I was so tempted, but I bit my tongue. I said, I'm not going to say nothing. But I was like, there's an old phrase, you snooze, you lose. You chose to tune into someone else's show live. We ain't rewinding shit to be your second or third choice. So we just finished the show and I put up the show the next day. So they had to wait. So I'm not telling you to choose us over others, but if you do choose someone else and our show is not available for like 24 to 36 hours, don't complain, So much love, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Let's see what transpires in the world of news and entertainment. And we'll talk about it Monday on the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show. If you enjoyed the show, be a friend. Tell a friend. I like that. Pat McAfee, I'm sure you didn't originate it, but Pat McAfee uses that line all the time. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Be well, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.